There is a saying in Tibetan that tragedy should be utilized as a source of strength. No truer words have been said to expressly capture the experience of Raymond Clark and his college-age children, his daughter Alexandra and his son. Merritt's Mill Pond hides the dangers beneath it with its breathtaking scenery, and the family's dive turned into an awful ordeal that threatened to take their lives. The serene surface was as inviting as ever, so much so that Raymond refused to heed the advice of the dive shop owner. Raymond was confident, due to their open water certification, that they could survive the dive and have a great family bonding time as planned. To no surprise, this little family bonding trip quickly turned into a painful experience. This is the story of a family diving tragedy that unfolded in the heart of Twin Caves. This story unveils the truth behind the statement: no one escapes this cave alive. On a beautiful day in August 2012, a father, Raymond, his daughter Alexandra, and his son set out to dive. This day was mapped out to be a perfect one. The family, a group of experienced divers, were all ready to use their certification and experience as open water divers and test their skills cave divers. The dive spot of their choice that day was the Twin Caves at Merritt's Mill Pond in Jackson County, Marianna, Florida. The pond is approximately 50 feet north-south and 25 feet east-west, and with its clear turquoise waters that contrast with the natural limestone surroundings in such a beautiful manner, it's the perfect dive spot. The cave is actually two caves, both interconnected with a labyrinth of stone. Each of these caves has distinct entrances, leading divers through a network of passages and tunnels. The water is so clear that the caves are such a great place to dive. The clear visibility provides a chance to admire the intricate geological formations in the water. However, the caves aren't as perfect as they may seem. One major downside to these beautiful caves is the sandy and limestone cave floor. This makes it prone to silt disturbance, so anyone going for a dive is advised to be extremely careful. Before diving at the Twin Caves, cave diving certifications and training are important. Cave diving is dangerous, especially in the dark and maze-like caves of Merritt's Mill Pond. The silt particles at the bottom can severely limit visibility, and the caves come with a lot of rugged features that can lead to equipment failures. This brings us to why Raymond, his son, and his daughter Alexandra were so confident in their abilities as divers. As great as open water diving is, and as momentous as it is to hold an open water certification, cave diving requires a whole new skill set. The open sea doesn't come with the same threats that cave diving does. Having to navigate through a maze of caves with jagged walls wasn't something an open water diver would immediately be used to. But Raymond was sure that he had been well educated on the possible threats of cave diving, and that his and his family's experience diving would make up for their lack of experience in cave diving. Besides, what better place to try something new than the gorgeous Twin Caves? They got to the dive spot and quickly donned their gear, excited to get into the water. They had already gone ahead to buy what they needed for their dive, but when the dive shop owner warned them about the dangers of the cave, Raymond chose to ignore it. Once they were all set, they dove into the water, Alexandra first. Sitting at just 20 feet below the surface, the entrance to the caves weren't hard to get to. She was carrying a pistol-grip dive light and a single tank, confident that the dive would be an easy one. However, as Alexandra swam, her fins kicked up a thick layer of silt that made the water very murky very quickly. Andrea, an experienced cave diver, and her group had just finished their own exploration. They were wise in their dive, as they stayed high enough to avoid silt disturbance, and they noticed the silt Alexandra was kicking up. They immediately knew things were about to get bad and raced for the surface, their fins only kicking up more silt as they went. Silt was normal when cave diving, so Alexandra wasn't worried. She only had to keep swimming before the water cleared. Right? Besides, her main concern was getting too close to the walls of the cave. The rough walls could damage her equipment, and she needed to make sure her father and brother followed the dive line and remained behind her. So, Alexandra kept going, but as she would come to find, this decision would prove to be nearly fatal. She was followed by her father and brother and was very cautious, avoiding contact with the walls of the cave in order to protect her equipment. As mentioned earlier, the rugged features of the caves can lead to equipment failures. In her bid to protect her equipment, she stirred up more silt, plunging the Clark family into a world of darkness. The visibility of the cave quickly went down to zero, and in no time, their torches would prove to be useless. Alexandra started to panic as she lost sight of her father and brother. She kicked harder out of fear in hopes of clearing the silt. All she managed to do was make an already bad situation a lot worse. She was in a dangerous situation. All of them were. Raymond, even though he was struggling because everywhere was pitch black, went in search of his daughter, Alexandra. After searching for a while, he located her, and together, they attempted to make their way to the exit. Raymond led them along a wall, navigating cautiously to avoid equipment damage. They couldn't see which way they were going because of the silt. Raymond let go of her just for a second to adjust his equipment. Once he was done with that, he reached out to her, and she was gone. Tragically, in their confusion, Alexandra and Raymond had gotten completely separated. Raymond made it to the surface, while Alexandra remained trapped. This caused extra panic for both of them, more so for Alexandra because she was alone and trapped in the middle of a pitch-black cave amidst the horrific silt situation. If no one reached her in time, she would run out of oxygen and die. While exiting the cave, Andrea and her group had bumped into Raymond's son, who urged them to call for help. In the face of this life-threatening situation, a beacon of hope emerged. Ed Sorensen, a distinguished cave rescue diver with over 2 decades of experience, came to rescue Alexandra. It's said that Ed Sorensen is one of the best rescue divers in the world, and his presence gave Raymond hope that his daughter had a great chance of making it out alive. The visibility was down to 0, but Ed embarked on this rescue mission. He employed his reel and made his way through the silt, using an emergency gold line. He dived into the cave in search of Alexandra, and found nothing.
The lead diver, as you know in cave diving, first in, last out.
Meanwhile, Alexandra, still in the cave, found a miracle air pocket. This gave her a limited air supply that she desperately needed for survival. Little air is better than no air at all. So, Alexandra was calm for a while, just happy to be breathing again. After what seemed like an eternity, Ed found Alexandra standing in a pocket of air at the top of the cave. Ed's arm eventually made contact with her, and they made their way out of the caves in under 10 minutes, defying the odds. This escape wasn't a smooth one, even though it took under 10 minutes. They encountered different difficulties with equipment entanglement and a lack of visibility. After many attempts, Ed finally decided to ditch the line, cutting Alexandra free. He used his familiarity with the cave, and they navigated their way out of there, even though it was completely dark. Alexandra, though cold and shaken, suffered no serious complications. She was simply happy to see her father and her brother again. It felt like a second chance at life. Raymond was relieved that his daughter was safe, and her brother was happy to see Alexandra again. Raymond and Alexandra expressed their deepest gratitude to Ed. If not for his skills and expertise, who knows what would have happened to his daughter, especially when the air pocket runs out. That would have been devastating. They say no one escapes this cave alive, but Ed is the reason Raymond and his family are a testament to the opposite. Ed Sorensen's legacy extends beyond this one remarkable rescue. Over the years, he has conducted multiple cave rescues. He has saved the lives of 4 people trapped in caves. If you're ever trapped in a cave, Ed is one person who can bring you back to safety. He has shown his expertise time and time again. After the tragic incident at the Twin Caves, in order to express his gratitude to the skilled diver Ed Sorensen, Raymond made a substantial donation to the Divers Alert Network. This incident serves as a powerful reminder to always adhere to diving certifications and established guidelines. It's not possible that we know best. Sometimes, it is necessary to listen to warnings, especially from people who know more about a situation than you do. Raymond and his family were severely warned by the dive shop owner not to embark on their journey, but he ignored the warnings because they had open water certifications. If he had listened to the dive shop owner, his family wouldn't have been involved in such a tragedy. One peaceful dive turned into a horrible experience, almost claiming the life of his daughter, Alexandra. This situation also shows us how important expert divers are. If Ed Sorensen wasn't an expert diver who was familiar with the caves, it is hard to believe that Alexandra would have escaped the Twin Caves alive. It highlights the critical role that expert cave divers play in preserving lives in these unforgiving environments.